During the Hyheelsian War, brave soldiers fought valiantly against the 420 Kawaii super Nazis. Many had fallen. Plenty fell ill, but in the end, the army of General ThorHighHeels still remained victorious. Not by sheer force, as von Hyheels' men were in far fewer numbers than Hitler III's, but with sheer cunning and wit, they managed to juke Hitler's forces into ejecting from their mech suits. Because there was totally a spider in your cockpit, you guys. It's totes gross, oh my god, I hate insects, you'd better eject now, it is so icky. So yeah, top 5 things in games I thought were scary as a kid. This is totally an intro. I know how to write things. I'm not a hack, I swear. Okay, so I'm starting the list off with this one, as it wasn't necessarily scary as much as it was mind-blowing. Even thinking about this experience now makes the hairs on my arm stand right up. I am, of course, talking about that one bit in Final Fantasy VII where you wake up like in this cell, but then like it's like there's like blood everywhere, like yeah. Now, as someone who started playing the Final Fantasy series with the 8th entry and then moved on to the 9th straight after, seeing the much darker world of Final Fantasy VII kind of fumbled my jumbles. The clean looking areas from FF8 were nowhere to be seen, and the happy, cheerful fairy tale bollocks from Final Fantasy IX was a far cry from what I was seeing here. Still though, while it was definitely a bit somber with the exception of the now infamous cross-dressing segment, it wasn't anywhere near scary or shocking or anything along those lines. Well, that is until Cloud and the gang get taken to prison only to wake up to music that sounds like this. Bang! Just like that, the mood completely shifts from, yeah, saving the world, to... As the team wakes up, they soon realize that the cell doors have been left open. And after a brief moment of merriment and much rejoicing, yay, they leave their cold, empty confinements only to run into blood. Acres of it. An entire fucking trail, in fact. Now, to me, as it is now, it's relatively tame. But as a kid, not only did I not see this coming at all, but it also set ablaze my already developing edgy heart of edginess. Add to that the fact that only a few seconds later you find out that the creepy headless booby alien monster thingy had escaped, and all of a sudden I was pretty fucking creeped out. I actually remember calling up one of my closest friends instantly being all like, "Dude, holy shit, you need to say this!" And he was pretty much blown the fuck away as well. And after that, the whole Sephiroth thing gets introduced, and while I would argue that he's been devalued quite substantially by sequels and fans, the initial appearance really depicts him as this really dark, mysterious as fuck villain-ass villain. Especially when you find a Midgar Zalem with a tree pierced through his fucking skull. So, yeah, the first disc of this game is plenty fucking dark. Not only for Final Fantasy standards, but also just for gaming as a whole. Or, well, mostly console gaming, I guess. But in any case, it was pretty much my introduction to mild horror-ish themes, along with the game that I shall talk about now. If there's anything that'll highlight the sheer power of nothing but atmosphere alone, it's encountering this in a fighting game at age 7. This is quite fucking dark for a game that's usually all like, pepper my dick and call me a sandwich, but that shit is quite the fucking vibe switch. Tekken isn't really the type of series one would associate with horror. I mean, there are some mild occultish themes here and there, but in the end it's still a game about flamboyant gay men fighting pandas and schoolgirls. And after they're done, they all go bowling together or play beach volleyball. True fucking horror indeed. But Tekken 1 is the first game in the series, and because of that it hadn't really found its stride just yet in terms of presentation and gameplay. I mean, the combat is about as stiff as dick joke. And quite frankly, the game looks like fucking shit. And I'm not talking about the dead-eyed polygon people either. No, I'm referring to the fact that the fucking UI looks like they just plopped in some word art. So of course, me and my friends were pretty fucking impressed by all of it, as all we really knew was a brief encounter with Sonic the Hedgehog, Gunstar Heroes, and a handful of Game Boy games. It was great. We could do things like duck and punch, and also things like duck and kick. Wow! We were having a shit ton of fun watching Heihachi do that neck-breaking move, and Law being all like, "Woo!" Everything was fine, until all of a sudden, after having fucked around with the shoot 'em up minigame you got before the title screen, we encountered this. Yeah, somehow we managed to encounter the illustrious Devil Kazuya. And while looking at him now just makes me want to pinch his purple little cheeks. Back then, it was actually pretty creepy, all things considered. Not quite trauma levels of scary, but it definitely gave the game a lot of intrigue. And along with the previous entry of this video, it didn't so much scare me as just open my heart to the darkness, or some other Kingdom Heartsy bullshit like that. It was pretty cool at the time either way, and I'm actually kinda bummed it wasn't something the Tekken series explored further past its third entry. I think I mentioned this before in a video somewhere, though I can't remember which, but as a kid especially, I always liked Tekken more for its occult themes and style rather than its wackiness and hyped up personality. Not that I mind either of those, but this moment from Tekken 1 at least really marked a point in my life where I knew I liked the spoopy and scary. So yeah, I'd say that it's about time we move on to the stuff that actually made me shit myself. First off is the only instance I can think of where I was legit scared to death by something that wasn't even meant to be scary whatsoever. I am referring to the bees from Crash Bandicoot 2. Yeah, I was still really young here, but this actually scared me so bad that even when playing the game now, I am still overcome with a light feeling of pre-fear, only to realize that I was just being a really stupid kid. Anyway, in Crash Bandicoot 2, there is a stage called Behaving. And in this stage, there are bees that emerge from holes. And the objective here is to either run the fuck away as fast as possible or hide underneath the ground in these especially designated muddy-like areas. Really, nothing special looking at it now. But back then, instead of experiencing it like this, I experienced it like this. That fucking bee sound, man. I don't know what it was about it, but it drove me up the fucking wall like a cat encountering a vacuum cleaner. I guess, maybe more so than anything, it was just the fear of being chased. The unnatural drony sound that ramps up as they chase you does have a very basic horror type of element going on. Similar as to how in games like Amnesia, for instance, it has the happening whenever a monster chases you. It's just a stupid primal fear, I suppose, a type of instinct. And because I was a kid and kids are dumb, I went by that rather than any type of rational thought. But in any case, those fucking bees from Crash Bandicoot 2 made me produce showers of angst-driven poo. Poop jokes. Funny. Staying within the naughty dog, animals, and poop joke stratosphere, the lurker shark from Jak and Daxter actually scared me so much it turned me into a living, breathing Scatman. If you've ever watched any fucking gaming video ever, you're probably familiar with kids being scared to death by the shark in Banjo-Kazooie. What this shark did was attack players if they were to swim outside of the level's bounds. But because I didn't really have any friends and like single player games, I never owned an N64, so I never experienced this myself. Luckily, Naughty Dog decided to rip this shit off just for all of the little dinkies that ended up with a PS2. And to me, as a 9 and or 10-year-old little person, this was pretty fucking terrifying. Much like the beast though, it was more so the audio than the fear of the actual shark itself. Thing is that whenever this aquatic cunt made its appearance, this heartbeat-like sound started playing. And the anxiety that this caused me at the time was fucking insane. So much so that upon my first encounter, my reaction was to turn off the PS2 immediately. And I hadn't even seen the fucking shark yet. It wasn't until my second time, while platforming rather reluctantly, that the fucker finally got me. I screamed, turned off the console again, and actually ended up selling the fucking game because of it being so scary. Looking back at it now, it just seems rather funny to me, but back then it actually scared me to such a point where I think it was the first time I actually legitimately felt true fear. The bees ain't got shit on this shit, as this shit was fucking shit. So yeah, I'm a Scatman. The word Mindfuck can be applied to MGS2 for a variety of reasons, though none of those reasons really apply to my reason for applying it here. Thing is that the mind-bending plot twists near the end or all of the bizarre fourth wall breaking didn't really affect me until I was much older and I knew what the fuck everyone was actually talking about. But the part where you don't play a solid snake in this game did actually tickle my dickhole ever so slightly, just not in the way that you'd might expect. The way that this story usually goes is, so like, I was like playing MGS2 like, and the fucking ship like, it like sinks, yeah, and then like Solid Snake, he fucking dies, and then like once the game like continued proper like, it was as if like the game had like started over, but then like I was like playing as this blonde chick. It was fucking naff as all hell, mate. I didn't like it at all. But that's not even close to how this story went for me. You see, somewhere in Hideo Kojima's wonderland of strange choices and weird mechanics is a small village called Holy fucking shit, you really need to work on your fucking menus, mate. And in that village lived a poor, rather dim-witted fellow who went by the name of Title Screen Menu. Now, while not exactly the brightest bulb, which says a lot considering the other inhabitants, Title Screen Menu was really eager to ask a shit ton of questions. But because of his condition, his questions always came out in rather confusing ways. This mostly affected questions regarding whether or not you've played the previous game, and if you like the action. Now, as a wee lad myself, English wasn't exactly my strongest point. You know, with it not being my first language and all. So, getting assaulted with questions like this was a little bit much. And as I tried to convey with that dumb little thing that just happened, these weren't necessarily the most elegantly formulated options to begin with. Now, what these dictate is which difficulty settings you get to select afterwards, but also whether or not the game actually starts at the very fucking beginning. And as most people playing the game for the first time pre-internet as we know it today, I wasn't aware of the fact that the switch to Raiden as a protagonist happened a couple of hours in. But at first, everything went just fine. I was playing the game as is, only I sucked really fucking bad and I couldn't actually beat the tanker segment properly. So, I went back and decided to start over, thinking that I had maybe fucked something over. And then, this happened.
There's a terminal in front of the elevator, a node.
Did you say nerd?
Not nerd, node.
Oh.
I did not know what the fuck was going on at all. The confusion, the gas mask, the confusion, the drastic change in tone, the confusion, and the fucking creepy ass vocal delivery had me quite legitimately scared. So, once again, I turned off the console, called one of my friends who obviously thought I was just taking the piss, and after having shown him myself, we both came to the highly intelligent conclusion that this had to be a glitch. So I traded in the game for the twin snakes and I didn't end up playing it again until years later. I sucked. I was pretty fucking stupid and I'm honestly quite amazed that I wasn't bullied at all. As really, thinking about this high-class display of idiocy, I really probably should have been.